Jai Narayani students, we are doing a lecture series of class 10th economics, and we are doing chapter 2nd, sectors of Indian economy. This is the second part of this lecture series, and in this lecture we will study about GDP. We will compare the three sectors and how the historical change take place in the sector. First, GDP. The value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sector for that year. And when we add these sectors' value, then we will get the gross domestic product, that is GDP. We have to be very careful about a few terms like value of final goods and services in a year and within a country. There are three, four terms that are very confusing, and you need to understand them very well. First, we are adding up the values. It means that we are not counting the number of goods that we have produced. If you have produced 1000 cars in a year, then we are not going to calculate them as 1000, but the value of those cars. If these 1000 cars are worth rupees 1 crore, then we will count them as 1 crore. We will take the value 1 crore rupees, not 1000, because we are not going to calculate the number. We are going to add up their values. The same is with the services also. And what we are taking the value of, we are taking the value of final goods and services. Final goods and services are basically those services which are ready to be given to consumer. That means which can be directly consumed by the consumer, directly used by the consumers. They are ready to be purchased. So there is no further processing required for them to make available to the consumer. These goods and services are called final goods and services. For example, uh, a bread is a final good. A consumer can go to the shop, purchase a bread, and use it. But if flour is purchased by a shopkeeper for making bread, or a bakery person for making bread, then that flour is not the final good. It is an intermediate good. Intermediate goods are what? These are those goods which need further processing to make a final product. So when the bakery person purchases this flour, then he will obviously use it to make bread and other bakery products, and then he will sell them to the consumer. So this flour which he has purchased from some other where is actually an intermediate good. Same is for cruise missiles. The cruise missile is a final good, but for producing these cruise missiles, if some screws are purchased, some tools are purchased, then these screws are intermediate goods. They're not the final good. New auto. The auto is a final good, but the window glass of a new auto is an intermediate good, because that window glass is used by the manufacturer to produce the auto, but it is not the final product. Cheese pizza. This pizza is a final good, but the cheese which is used by the bakery shopkeeper for putting in the pizza is not a final good, but it is an intermediate good. And after purchasing this cheese, he will further process it, further use it to make pizza, and then the pizza will be available as final goods for sale. So this is the difference between final goods and intermediate goods. So final goods, we can say that a good that the final consumer consumes, the consumer that is ready for consumers to consume. For example, there is another example given here. Final good is a t-shirt, like a shirt or a t-shirt is a final good. You go to the mall, you go to the shop and purchase it, and these are ready to be used. But the fabric, if you talk about the cloth, then this cloth is not directly usable for a consumer. Some other person, like a tailor or a manufacturer of garments, will purchase these fabrics from some other wear, and then they will use it to make these garments, and then they will sell it to the consumer. So these fabrics are not directly used by the consumer. These are intermediate goods. They need further processing. They need to be stitched, and they need to be converted into garments. for being useful. So we are talking about the GDP. GDP is the value of the final goods and services. We are not counting the intermediate goods and services, because the value of the intermediate goods has already been calculated when we calculate the value of the final goods and services. Suppose if we are talking about this t-shirt, which is used which is made by using a fabric. So the fabric is the value of the fabric is already counted in the value of the shirt. If you're purchasing a shirt, then it is not the value of the stitching only. It is the value of the fabric. It is the value of the cotton. If this is made of cotton, obviously, it is the value of the raw material. It is the value of all the activities that have been performed before making this final good. So this all is included in it. We if we will calculate it separately, and the fabric's value is also taken into consideration for calculating GDP, then it will be repetition of the same value. The same value will be calculated twice. One when we are calculating the value of the garment, and one when we were taking it as a fabric. So we will have to be careful that the value of only the final goods and services should be taken into consideration for calculation of GDP, and not the intermediate goods, because when we calculate the value of the final goods and services, the intermediate goods value will already automatically it will be added. And we are also talking about the value of products within a country. Within a country means within the territory of a country. So even if a foreign company, foreign individual, or have established a manufacturing unit in India, suppose we have a manufacturing unit of some American company, then the products made by that American company within the territories of India would be taken into consideration. They will be counted for the sake of GDP. When we will calculate GDP of India, then we will take the value of those goods which are produced by this company, which is originally an American company, but the manufacturing unit is in India. Similarly, if an Indian company has a manufacturing unit in, suppose, USA or UK, then the value of those goods will not be taken in consideration, because they are out the territory of India. So we are talking about domestic product. Domestic means those products which are produced within the territories of India, and obviously they must be from a year. Okay. So GDP, final goods, intermediate goods we have discussed. Now, why we are calculating this GDP? There are 3 points. First, that it is actually an indicator of the health of the country's economy. The more is your GDP, the more you are producing, and the more healthy is your uh, economy. Second is that GDP indicates the size of an economy. If an economy is producing a large number of goods, then obviously it has a big size. And GDP is usually compared to figure from the previous year. We obviously have to take the comparison, and so that we can see that how much growth has been done in terms of production. So these are the three uses which are not actually the part of your syllabus, but it's still you must know. So you don't need to remember them, but you must know that why we are calculating this GDP. Now let's talk about the historical change in sectors. We all know that in the ancient times, the people were not civilized. They used to hunt, and they were hunters and gatherers. In fact, they used to hunt for animals for flesh, and they used to gather products of the forest, and uh, they used to live this way. But after some time, they discovered about the agriculture, and they used to settle down at one place and do this agricultural practice. And gradually they became more independent, and they started doing some other activities as well. So this way, we are going to see the historical changes that took place in the sectors over the years, over the decades and centuries, in fact. So in initial stage, the development of development, primary sector was the most important sector of economic activities. All the people, in fact, most of the people were engaged in the primary sector activities. Some were doing agriculture, others were doing forestry. Um, Many of them were doing mining activities. So these are the activities that they were engaged in. But as the method of farming changed, the agricultural sector began to prosper. Now they have more products, more agricultural products. Earlier, they used to just produce for their families so that they can live and to survive. But later on, they discovered some new techniques of agriculture. They got to understand better about agricultural processes, and they started producing more products. Now then, there were many members of the family who now shifted to other activities, like some of them became craftspersons, some of them became shoemaker. So other industrial activities, small industrial activities also started after the farming has prospered. So there were increasing number of craftspersons and traders. Buying and selling activities increased many times, and there were also transporters, administrators, army persons, etc. So the family members now there were kingdoms, and now the king's army used many of these people to hire and uh, recruit them in the armies. The administrative personnel were appointed by the kings. Transportation activities, as the trade increased between states, the transportation facilities were needed, and so many of the people started transporting goods from one state to another state. In this way, these tertiary and secondary activities grew over the time, and over a long time, more than 100 years, and especially because new methods of manufacturing were introduced. Factories were set up. We know that factories were set up first in England and then in many parts of the Europe, and then it came to India as well. So when the factories were set up, the people from the rural areas, from the villages, migrated to cities and towns, and they started working in the factories. So the secondary activity were now rapidly growing, and gradually they became the most important activities of the economy. So the primary activities were not being considered as very important, but the secondary activities now growing very rapidly. Those people who had earlier worked on the farms now began to work in factories in large numbers. So secondary sector gradually became the most important in total production and employment. Now most of the people were now engaged in secondary sector activities. And if you talk about previous 100 years, in the past 100 years, there has been a further shift, and now secondary to tertiary sector shift has been seen, especially in the developed countries where the service sector has grown very rapidly over the 100 years. Now the service sector has become the most important in terms of the total production. In fact, in India also, we have seen a uh, great growth, a rapid growth in the service sector activities, and most of the working people are now employed in the service sector. So we will, in the upcoming lectures, compare these sectors in a more detailed way. But for today's lecture, this is it. I hope you all are safe and healthy. Stay at home, stay healthy. Follow the rule of SMS, that means soap for hand wash, mask if you go outside your house anywhere, and maintain the social distancing as well. So thank you, students. Jan Narayan. See you in the next lecture.